Well, today is the day. We're going to be talking about Vic Fangio. We're going to get into a little bit of free agency and at least talk about a position for now I think is the must need as of right now with the Philadelphia Eagles. And under Fangio's scheme, he has 100% control and is going to want the specific coaches on his staff, assistants wise, and want the specific players that could run his scheme. And we haven't even touched the surface on what we're even doing yet.
We better do that. Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yeah, what's going on, guys? I hope everyone's having a fantastic day. So, obviously, after the hiring of Vic Fangio, you start to think of, because of, his scheme is kind of similar to what we ran last year, but obviously he is the mastermind at it and knows how to use players to their strengths in a specific scheme. It's not going to take a player that can't run the scheme and still start the guy at the same position, which I feel like we've been doing pretty much really the last 2 years. At least the past 3 years with this scheme, but now getting the cream of the crop, the mastermind of the Vic Fangio scheme, the bend don't ever break scheme, I'll call it, just because, with more injuries, a top 10 defense that he had with Miami last year, it didn't really fall apart, man. Gets the right players and gets some good depth behind it. And for a fact, there's no doubt about it, that Nick Sirianni has that Vic Fangio has full control over who he's bringing in when it comes to his coaches, when it comes to the players that he's bringing in. And trust me, if he doesn't like a specific player that the Eagles have defensively, no matter the contract, he's going to tell Howie Roseman to get something done to let that player get cut or whatever. Okay, so if he walks in and says, hey, I don't want Bradbury as the number 2 cornerback, I need him out of here, they'll get it done. Nick has no control over the situation, and Vic Fangio is going to take this into his own hands. I think he's already started to do that already. A lot of coaches, a lot of positional coaches are being changed, but we haven't even hit the surface, like I said, on just changes in general. But I want to go through at least, for the next few weeks, at least for the month of February, before we hit like free agency month in March, is what could they go after? Okay. And when you think about it, hey, what is the most empty position in this Eagles defense that they really need to figure out? It's linebacker, 100%, because you have to change your philosophy. I still see Eagle fans, even if I mention getting a linebacker earlier or signing a linebacker to big money, no one believes it. And I understand that. I think from Howie Roseman's press conference, I'd have to think the total opposite of what he's thinking because, he trusts the players in the building, which he does not. You can't just sign 1-year deals to that position. And you can't rely on Nakobe Dean to be healthy or even play well because he just didn't play good at all. I won't put too much on from not playing well because the scheme sucks and Sean Desai just set the players up to fail and Matt Patricia made it worse. But, it's just one of those things where you want to give players time, but we don't have time anymore. Like your offense is you have a Super Bowl calibrated roster offensively to put points up on the board with obviously Kellen Moore coming in. And now with Vic Fangio, he is going to make the right moves and the right calls. And linebacker has been on my mind nonstop, and it has to change. And what players could Vic Fangio bring in? Okay, and even players that he had on his roster even last year with the Miami Dolphins, even Andrew Van Ginkel, which is probably could be a big one for the Eagles. I mean, his 5th year, and actually he played lights out. I mean, only 6 sacks for the season, but 53 pressures on quarterbacks is pretty damn good. Always in the face. I mean, he got hurt the last week, I think week 18 of the season. He wasn't able to play in the playoff game, which really sucks. But Andrew Van Ginkel is definitely one of those guys that's going to get a big payday and, could follow Vic Fangio to Philadelphia on a long-term deal. Definitely a name to definitely look over within the next few weeks and see the rumors and see what happens. But I think the Dolphins are going to try to retain him, but really just depends on the new situation defensively of what's going on in Miami right now. Since, Vic Fangio and the Dolphins parted ways, they agreed on it, and now he's with the Philadelphia Eagles. And There's going to be some contracts out there that you could definitely take over that might want to play a Nick Fangio scheme. There's even other free agents with the Dolphins right now. Jerome Baker, Andrew Van Ginkel, like I talked about, safety Deshaun Elliott, and safety Brandon Jones. Deshaun Elliott is definitely one to eye on for safety. We'll get into that another day. But there's some good players coming off of that team. Buccaneers, you have Devin White. If you want to take a chance on him on a 2-year deal, a 1-year deal, maybe he'll be that 1-year deal player. They could sign for veteran depth at linebacker or something like that. Or maybe they think that, Devin White has more in the tank than we figured. But like I said, ex-Miami players could, and maybe want to play with Vic Fangio into his scheme and come to Philadelphia. Not saying they're going to sign for any bit of money they can, for any amount, but they're not that desperate. They're going to want to get a payday, especially, Andrew Van Ginkel. That's been fantastic. But as an outside linebacker and as a guy that can menace himself on the line, line him up on the line, and you can use him for anything and start attacking with him. And he's been very, very good at that. Sack numbers aren't up, but the pressures are insane. Miami was third in pressures. I mean, it's crazy what you could do with that scheme, and it's crazy how you could still have good trenches and get hit home with that defense when you're playing off ball a little bit. The Eagles couldn't get it done because they tried to copycat it, but a lot of these players were set up for failure. But Vic Fangio just knows how to do it, and why not bring some ex-players here from Miami to get it done for you? Obviously, another one you can go after, because obviously, like I said, going into the big money of free agency is something that the Eagles haven't really, besides, AJ Brown, they haven't really paid the big flawless contract, especially at the linebacker position. And I don't know when's the last time they actually signed a big contract at linebacker. I mean, a monster contract. I don't think for years, a long time. They don't draft that position high, and they let all these linebackers just go off the roster. Patrick Queen is definitely going to be on the top of my list when it comes to guy in coverage. Guy has toughness, pushback, don't take no shit off nobody. Is just a monster. Even watching him the other night, I was like, man, the other day, I was like, Jesus, man. That whole defense over there in Baltimore is just fantastic, and Patrick Queen is just one of them. I mean, 138 tackles, 9 tackles for loss, 6 QB hits, 1 pick, 3.5 sacks. I mean, it's crazy. 1 forced fumble. He's had a great year. And we've been talking about Patrick Queen pretty much this is the last year of his deal. Now he's a free agent now. Okay. We were talking about him during the trade deadline, and, not only just coverage, but man, the guy can shoot the gap. The guy knows how to attack, and the guy don't miss tackles. Okay. This is what you're bringing into this team. And I feel like if you're going to spend big money at linebacker, which I'm hoping to God, as much as I want them to draft a linebacker high, I just don't see that it's likely. Just because I feel like they have other things they want to draft. I know, they might have to go after cornerback in the first round and maybe pair him up with Slay for a year until Slay leaves, and then they have to draft another cornerback or something. They might even trade for one. Who knows? You're not signing any cornerbacks in free agency, so, you have to take care of this. And linebacker, yeah, I could see maybe one of the second round picks, maybe that, but it's hard for me to say it so because, if there's players available that, because Fangio might be like, hey, maybe get in contact with somebody's agent. That player might be like, let's try to get something done immediately. Because I think Fangio is well respected, and we'll see. If you want a coverage guy, you want a guy that can attack also and don't miss any tackles. And as soon as he put a hand on you, he's going to take you down. If you punch him in the mouth, he's going to punch you back. That's what you get out of Patrick Queen. Okay, that's what you 100% get out of him, and would be a fantastic signing. So if it were to be Andrew Van Ginkel or Patrick Queen, then that's fine. But you can't get both of these guys. It's just going to be impossible. So one or the other, I would like either or. Me, I would like more Patrick Queen than Andrew Van Ginkel, but Andrew Van Ginkel is successful under Vic Fangio because he's in his scheme, which is great, and knows the guy very well. So I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity for the Eagles to go out there and do some good things. And if you want to go sign, keep Nakobe Dean on the active roster, obviously. And then maybe if you want to give a chance to Devin White or something like that, you can always do that. It's money, see if Devin White has something left in the tank. And I know he's been on somewhat of a decline, has been replacing that Bucs defense, and I think, I think you're gonna get a lot out of that position as well. And if Devin White comes to the Eagles, just think what Mike Caldwell is gonna do. Now, Mike Caldwell could be the next linebacker coach for the Philadelphia Eagles. We talked about it a couple days ago, but I think Caldwell is a finalist. He was the Jags defensive coordinator. He actually interviewed for the Eagles defensive coordinator job, didn't get it, and he was the Buccaneers. Linebacker coach a while ago, and really produced Levante David and Devin White, especially when Devin White was drafted. So, if you're getting, I mean, they're getting a lot of experience when it comes to the linebacker position in general, because I think this is really important. Not only do you need to have a good defensive coordinator to put in the right position and win football games, but you need some good positional coaches. DJ Elliott was a fucking coordinator from Temple. And what has Temple done? What DJ Elliott's from Temple? Well, I mean, I don't get. Nick Sirianni was hiring too many of these young coaches that just had no experience. Hence why not only the scheme was flawed, the players were flawed in the scheme, but the positional coaches couldn't adjust, couldn't make any changes. I mean, no one to help Nick, no position got better. So hiring 16 years that Mike Caldwell has as a linebacker coach, okay, could really emphasize Devin White coming here, and the Eagles could sign big with Patrick Queen or, like I said, Andrew Van Ginkel. So I think that would make a whole ton of sense when it comes down to it. So I really like the combinations that we have between defensive coordinator, linebackers coach, and ex-players that have played pretty damn good for Vic Fangio, and maybe some players can have connection to Mike Caldwell as well. So I really like that combination. We'll see what happens, but like I said, Andrew Van Ginkel, Patrick Queen are like my two top right now that make a lot of sense. If the Eagles want to throw the bag at Patrick Queen, great. If the Eagles want to throw the bag at Andrew Van Ginkel, and Ginkel's like, you know what, I want to play for Vic Fangio. I want to see if I want to make this work. I want to be with him for the next few years, and so we'll see what happens. You know what I mean? We'll see what happens. 5 years in the league, we'll see, and had his best year. But really a lot to look forward to with that. But speaking of others on the coaching staff, there's been rumors that Ronaldo Hill, that has been a part of Vic Fangio's defense as a defensive back coach, might take that defensive back coaching job for the Eagles as well. Now, Ronaldo Hill was 2 years. I think he was a DB coach for Vic Fangio when he was the head coach of the Denver Broncos for 2 years. He became the Chargers defensive coordinator, and he was a DB coach, and I think a passing game coordinator. I forgot what he was last year in Miami, but I think he was the DB coach and the passing game coordinator for Miami as well. So a lot of familiarity with those two guys, and I think DB coach is definitely going to be changed as well. There's no doubt. I think every positional job is under fire right now. Especially Aaron Moorhead with the wide receivers. I think that's going to change. And to be honest, I'm not making a big deal out of the wide receiver coach too much, but if they want to do it, and if Kellen Moore doesn't want it, then whatever, then change the guy. Like, I don't really even care at all, to be honest. Aaron Moorhead and whatever. These positional coaches can only do so much. They don't game plan. They work these guys during the week to what they're going to be facing matchup wise. And, it's a very important position. You can't ignore it, but apparently, Aaron Moorhead is going to be seeking another job elsewhere. That is the rumors right now. We know Alex Tanney, the QB coach, is going to be gone. Obviously, and I don't know what he's been doing with Jalen Hurts. I think Brian Johnson's done a better job with Hurts as a QB coach than what Alex Tanney has even done. Promote from within, or just hire him, whatever. I mean, that's all they've pretty much done, and hopefully they make some more changes towards that. So positional coaches, man, a lot of these the position coaching is going to change dramatically. So I'm excited to see what guys they bring in. And lastly, we're going to go over this really quick. The Super Bowl that we probably all of us did not want, okay? You have KC, you have San Francisco. Me, I want KC to win. I don't like KC for a lot of reasons, but Patrick Mahomes, there's just some things I don't like, but I'd rather have them win. The 49ers, the 49er fans, their players and just want them to waste this year for absolutely nothing. Okay, the Lions made way too many mistakes against San Francisco. They were up by double digits, and it was 27 unanswered points. Dan Campbell went for it on fourth down twice in the second half, where you could have kicked the field goal 2 times, could have been up by a couple points, and failed on those 2 drives. And then, there was a lot of drops from Detroit. And then the 49ers started figuring things out. It was a tie game, and then they were up by another 3, and then that was pretty much it. I mean, they took way too many chances, didn't just take the points. Detroit kind of choked themselves. They haven't been in this situation when it comes to playoffs. They don't know what it's like being in the playoffs. This was a first runaround for them. San Francisco has done this, so it really didn't phase them, but it's unfortunate. And, mistakes made, that's what's going to happen. And then obviously you had KC and you had the Ravens, and Lamar Jackson looked like crap. I mean, simple as that. He just looked horrible. His deep ball looked really bad. He overthrew a lot of guys. And obviously Zay Flowers, messed up on a couple plays. Stupid penalties by Baltimore has the better defense. There's no doubt about that. Offensively, they just couldn't get anything going. I mean, Odell Beckham got so much on a 1-year deal or whatever it was. I mean, for the amount of money he's getting, he only had 3 catches for 30-something yards. He really didn't get any chances until the second half. But Zay Flowers, I think it was Zay Flowers. Obviously, the dive fumble, which was a touchback. I mean, you got to protect that ball. I mean, you got to score there. Then you catch a big pass by Lamar Jackson to the 10-yard line, pushes the guy on the ground, and then taunts over him, flexes over him, and gets a penalty. There was just some really Van Noy stupid penalty. It was just there was stupid penalties by Baltimore, really messed them up, and then it messed up their offensive play. And Lamar Jackson, I'm sorry, but he just kind of got out of his own head for a lot of play. I mean, there's so many times I've seen him throwing his helmet down, and he's pissed off, and he's complaining, and he was just, I think he was in his own head. I think it just got to him. The more times he was passing than that one in the end zone, and just ridiculous. I mean, why you would pass in triple coverage, why your tight end Mark Andrews is lifting his hand up into the end zone where he's literally doubled, and then by the time the ball gets there, he's tripled. So there is just some stupid things that happen. So 2 teams that we really don't want to be in here, and obviously Andy Reid yet again shoving it down our throats that he's now a really good coach. Where was this Andy Reid a long time ago, but that's all, seeing Andy Reid in another Super Bowl really sucks. We're going to have an appreciation day in a couple of weeks for Andy Reid. So, it is what it is. But, that's why when the Philadelphia Eagles get to another playoff game, I think they're going to be prepared, and I think they're going to be ready, and they've already been through it. A lot of the players have already been in the situation. You're in situations, regular season situations and playoff situations are totally different because you can react differently, because in the playoffs, you win or lose, you either move on or go home. And in the regular season, you have multiple chances for weeks to fix things and get things done. But you learn these things in the regular season, and you do them in the regular season. This way, when you get to these playoff games, don't miss the opportunity. Sometimes you got to take the points. I understand being aggressive is fine. If you go on it for fourth down one time, I don't really care. But if you fail it once, the next time you get in that situation, you just got to take the points. And I think the Lions got a little too cocky, and I think the Ravens were fine defensively. Offensively, they were just hit or miss, and Lamar Jackson didn't look great. I mean, did not look great. His deep ball is suspect. I mean, because it's just not going anywhere. Where he's throwing the ball and how rattled he gets. I thought they contained him pretty well. So, there's a lot going on there with him, and, we'll see what happens. But other than that, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think about Vic Fangio, what he would want with the defense. Talk about Patrick Green. Talk about, Andrew Van Ginkel. Talk about some of maybe the other Dolphins players or anyone else in the league. Maybe, Devin White, that's connection with Mike Caldwell that can get the job. So there's a lot of good connections here. I think the Eagles will, you wouldn't think after a year like last year, the Eagles won't, they won't get a lot of attraction from any players that might have interest in coming here, but you might have a lot more than you think. And we haven't even touched the surface on our roster and what we're moving and freeing up cap space and doing all that stuff. But it should be really interesting. We'll see. But you guys have a fantastic day, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Shakes what up, follow Sly. Peace out, guys. Peace.